On a Tuesday morning in a small apartment on the edge of the city, two friends opened their laptops at the exact same time. One of them was about to work harder than he ever had in his life. The other wasn't going to lift a finger. And yet, by the end of 30 days, one of them would be exhausted, burnt out, and behind. The other would have built an entire company. This is the story of Dave and his friend Theo. One man. 10 AI employees. And the experiment that changed the way both of them thought about work forever. Stick around till the end, because the winner isn't who you think it is. Dave and Theo had been friends since college. Dave was a freelance marketer, sharp, hardworking. The kind of guy who answered client emails at 11 at night because that's just what the job demanded. Theo was different. Theo had spent the last year quietly building something strange. A company where he was the only human. And everyone else on the payroll was an AI agent. 10 of them, to be exact. A copywriter agent. A designer agent. A customer support agent. A sales outreach agent. A data analyst. A video editor. A researcher. A bookkeeper. A social media manager. And one project manager agent that bossed the other 9 around. Theo didn't manage employees. He managed prompts. One evening, half joking and half serious, Theo told Dave he was confident his 10 AI employees could outbuild Dave's one-man hustle in 30 days flat. Dave laughed at first. Then he stopped laughing. And told Theo he was on. Same goal, same deadline. And they'd see who actually got there. The rules were simple. Both of them would attempt to launch a small online business from scratch. Build a brand, create content, get real customers, generate real revenue. Dave would do it the way he always had, alone, manually, one task at a time. Theo would do it by directing his 10 AI employees. Like a conductor leading an orchestra he couldn't actually play an instrument in. The first few days made one thing brutally clear. Speed was not going to be a fair fight. By day 2, Dave had written one blog post, designed one logo concept, and sent 14 cold emails. He was proud of that. It had taken him nearly 10 hours. In that same window, Theo's AI team had produced 11 blog posts, 40 logo variations, 300 personalized outreach emails, a full brand style guide, and a working landing page. Theo told the camera, almost laughing, that he hadn't written any of it himself, he'd just told his agents what he wanted, and they never slept. But here's what most people get wrong about stories like this one. More output doesn't mean better output. And that's exactly where things got interesting. Because when Theo actually sat down to review what his AI employees had made, something felt off. The blog posts were technically correct but strangely soulless. Like reading a Wikipedia article that had learned to smile. The logo variations were polished but forgettable. Nothing that would stop someone mid-scroll. Worse, one of the AI agents had confidently invented a customer testimonial that didn't exist. Theo caught it just in time. A single fabricated quote could have quietly become a legal headache. 10 employees. 0 payroll. Infinite patience. But also 0 instinct, 0 taste, and 0 idea when they were wrong. Meanwhile, Dave was moving slower, much slower. But something was happening on his side that no dashboard could measure. On day 5, a potential client emailed Dave back. Not with a purchase, with a question. A real, specific, slightly confused question about whether the service could work for her unique situation. Dave didn't send a templated reply. He remembered a nearly identical conversation from 2 years earlier with a totally different client. And he used that memory, that lived experience, to write 4 sentences that made her feel truly heard. She signed up an hour later. Dave would later say it wasn't the fastest email he'd ever written. It was just the most human one. This is the part of the story people watching from a distance tend to miss. Theo's AI employees were brilliant at pattern matching what had worked before. But they had never actually felt the sting of a client saying no. They had never sat in the uncomfortable silence of a sales call gone wrong. And learned, in their gut, what to do differently next time. Dave had all of that, 12 years of scar tissue, compressed into instinct. And instinct, it turns out, is very hard to prompt your way into. By the second week, Theo discovered the hidden cost of his AI workforce management. 10 tireless employees still needed someone to check their work, catch their mistakes, and make the calls they couldn't make themselves. The customer support agent, trying to be helpful, offered a refund policy that didn't actually exist. The social media agent scheduled a post with a joke that landed flat. Technically clever but emotionally tone-deaf. Theo admitted, half joking and rubbing his eyes, that he thought he'd hired 10 employees. But it turned out he'd hired 10 very fast interns, who all needed supervision at the same time. Meanwhile, something unexpected happened to Dave. Forced to work alone, he'd gotten ruthless about priorities. He stopped writing 5 mediocre blog posts, and started writing one great one, and shared it in a small online community he'd belonged to for years. It resonated. People commented. People shared it. People trusted it, because it came from a real person who'd clearly lived the problem he was writing about. Dave wasn't competing on volume anymore. He was competing on depth. And depth, it turns out, spreads differently than volume does, slower, but stickier. By day 30, the results came in, and they surprised both of them. Theo's AI-powered business had reach, more content, more visibility, and more raw traffic than Dave could ever produce alone. But when Theo looked at actual paying customers, the number was smaller than all that content suggested. Dave's business had far less content and far less traffic than Theo's AI company. But a much higher percentage of the people who showed up actually became paying customers. And several customers, completely on their own, even recommended him to their friends. Theo said his AI team had successfully built him a large audience, but it still hadn't built enough trust for people to confidently buy. Dave admitted that he could never build an audience that large by himself, but every person who discovered him decided to stay. And then came the twist neither of them saw coming. In the final week, Theo completely changed the way he worked with his AI employees. He stopped treating his AI employees like independent workers, and started treating them like powerful tools that still required human control. He personally rewrote every important client email that his AI agents drafted. He personally selected only the very best pieces from the hundreds of pieces of content his AI created. He became the editor, the filter, and the final human judgment call behind everything. The moment he started doing this, his AI-powered business suddenly began converting customers much more like Dave's business did. It wasn't 10 AI employees versus 1 human, after all. It was raw output versus applied judgment. And the real unlock, the thing both of them accidentally discovered, was combining the two. So who actually won the bet between Dave and Theo? Neither of them really won. Or maybe both of them did, depending on how you look at it. Dave learned that he no longer needed to do absolutely everything manually by himself. Some of those AI employees, used carefully, could give him back hours of his week without damaging the trust he had spent years building. Theo learned that no number of AI employees can replace the uniquely human things that only experience creates. Judgment earned through experience, taste shaped by making mistakes, and trust built one honest conversation at a time. Theo later summarized it simply: 10 AI employees can execute, but they still cannot genuinely care. And Dave added that one human can care all day long, but no single person can physically be in 10 places at once without help. Maybe the real story was never actually about one person competing against 10 AI employees in the first place. Maybe it was always about what happens when a human being stops competing with machines and starts conducting them instead. Because the future probably doesn't belong to the one person trying to do everything completely alone anymore. And it also doesn't belong to 10 AI employees working completely unsupervised either. The future belongs to the people who learn how to become both, human enough to be trusted, and equipped enough to move like 10 people at once. This is the real advantage of the future: human judgment multiplied by artificial intelligence. The winners won't be the people who fear AI, and they won't be the people who blindly trust it either. The winners will be the people who learn how to use AI wisely while keeping the uniquely human skills that machines still cannot replicate.